I know, I know. How can I come on national YouTube and say Prince Rogers Nelson is the creator? Um, it's true. I'm going to keep saying it. And when you discover it yourself, you'll be as happy as I am to say it. It's what you're going to find here on my channel. When I stood in my life after, that's why I hashtag these videos NDE, because when I had my clinical death, I met the creator and he showed himself to me in all kinds of ways. He was an ancient white being. He was Prince. He was nothing at all. He was like it's like an angel type thing with wings, and very ancient and very old. And then, so what my point is that the creator shows himself to every generation. And if you know your Bible, you know Moses climbed up the mountain, saw him in a burning bush. And when I stood in the life after, and I was told that my sole purpose was to be there during that clinical death and meet him as the creator and as Prince, so that he could tell me and show me my sole purpose. I was taken aback, but I mean, I had listened to him since I was 13, so I knew that his music was godly. I always told my friends and family, this music is like listening to God. He's singing to God, or this is for God, or whatever. So I wasn't too surprised. My soul wasn't. It was pretty cool, in fact. That's why when you investigate the investigation, Mr. Vetcher, Tim Vetcher, I think, did a Freedom of Information Act request on the Prince Rogers Nelson death investigation, and that Freedom of Information Act came back saying this. I can't find the link I was looking for, but here at Muck Rock, you can see the Freedom of Information Act request from Tim Vetcher. He's a journalist in the Minneapolis area. Go through it, and what they end up saying is that he can have some of the paperwork, but he can't have all of the paperwork, because they're withholding 97 pages based on the fact that it is national security, that all the information not be disclosed, and by executive order. So if you go through all of this, which we're not going to do here, it's that executive order and a threat to national security that blows your mind. So if it's national security and by executive order that the truth not be told, then you can better understand the possibility, well, the truth of what I'm saying being the truth. See, I love the creator of the universe far too much to ever tell any lies. And everything that you'll hear from me is to the best of my recollection and ability to communicate from that place to this place. It's a work in progress, and I look forward to the full story getting out there. Because this is, as I say it is, Paisley Park is not what everyone has been led to believe. I always assume that people that would come and watch and listen to these videos know the Prince music like I do, and that they have some background to just how deep and revealing and intimate the lyrics are. And it's come to my attention that that might not be the case. So I'll try to be a little bit more thorough. But having heard the music all my life, it wasn't a transition for me to understand that he was the creator. And that's what he exposed to me. Part of my soul purpose is. What I wanted to say is that it's not just me coming here to talk about Prince and be like, oh, my soul purpose and Prince. Ooh, no, it's not that. What I'm trying to do is expose the truth about me and about the creator, so that you can discover the truth about the soul that he put in you, and that you can connect to him too. That's my greatest joy, and that's why I come here. So please know that, because you know, he even said that he chose me for a purpose, because people know that I'm real and you can feel the truth. And I'm a pretty shiny soul, but I'm also a pretty sad soul. I'm broken than you can possibly imagine. And if you watch some of my older, more revealing videos, they talk about it. But I want to talk about the investigation and about Prince, so we're going to continue in that direction. The important part is that we all realize that it's a portion of the Creator in Hebrew, a portion of heaven, a portion of the Creator. And what he exposed to me in the life after was that he put a portion of himself. He is the I am, and he put that life force into each and every one of us and uses us each specifically for who we are. So what I meant to say was, by me exposing specifically who I am, even with all the flaws and all the things that I've done in life, that I could be used in this way is, and I want you to feel that way about yourself too, by exposing the truth. So, Paisley Park, yeah, you guys, you got to stop going there. It's more of a mausoleum than anything. And why? I want to get back to what was exposed to me in the life after, when the Creator showed me his different selves. One of the things that he exposed to me was that when he would go and perform, like, we have a body, you see Elizabeth in front of you, we have a body, but we are a holy soul on the inside. So when he would go and perform and things like that, he was allowed to, or he was able to, I don't know if it was always like this, but he was able to present this Prince persona that we all knew. And he said it was like it was his body, but he couldn't have it because of the contracts, that it was just able to borrow it. And you know, that video, A Whole New Meaning to Bodyguard, go check that out. Because as a soul man, as a soul, you can go anywhere as I am and be anywhere and be anything. And that's what he is. Like I said, he's the life force within each and every one of us. So the fact that he chose to show himself to our generation as Prince is really going to be amazing. And when you guys understand, you're going to chase him like lions, you know, because you want to love him and you want to understand that the reason that you live and the reason that you laugh and the reason that you do everything is because of him. And so it's a really powerful thing to understand. I smile a lot, and I would rather have fun than feel pain. I've felt enough pain in my life, and even though it teaches and molds and shapes and lets the light in, I choose to smile and laugh because it's sometimes better than the sad girl. But anyway, he showed me that he was used and abused and tortured beyond anything that any of us can really possibly imagine, due to the fact that he presented as both human and God, if you will. I can't explain it any other way. He would play this is what would happen, to the best of my understanding, and listen up if you're fast forwarding. There would be recording sessions, practice sessions of they would record the torture. They would like electrocute him so that as this ancient soul, he could continue to play, and not only play, but play at a level that the world has never seen. So the new power generation has to do with a certain regeneration bloodline, like I've mentioned before. I'm not 100%, but I think it's Merovingians or something like that. And to the effect, if you think about like vampires, and I don't know if that's a good word or a bad word in the heavenlies, so forgive me, but how they would live forever, you know, or like, you know, ancient souls. And that's how our ancestors, you know, they said they lived 930 years or 720 or whatever the case may be. These souls learn to do something with the Creator's energy, I'm not sure, and traverse occultically through time and space, if you will, Those practice sessions where there was electrocution, that's why all the screaming, that's why all the high pitched shrill, I'm begging you to please go back and listen to all the music that you thought that I can't listen to it the same anymore. Because when you take apart the music and you listen to just the screams, go watch a scary movie, go watch, well, don't, but just know that there's a difference between someone screaming for their life, someone screaming in pain, and just screaming to make noise. And on that note, think about all the other musicians that scream. Okay, go listen to them. Anyway, the torture was real. They videotaped it. And then he would go back and put music and melody and his own energy and his own love and his own, well, he said he put a certain spin on the music, his godly spin, and would put it over the scream so that it was palatable, and more than that, obviously, but so that he could teach us all love. And that's why on the Love Sexy video, the guy says that he had to be stopped because he was teaching about love, the love sign. The cool fuzzy voice said, "Come save your soul." So because he was singing about God and, in essence, putting that into his music unlike anybody else had ever done before. Again, I think when a lot of the torture started, it was somewhat, if I remember correctly, his idea and his purpose, because he said that even though he was very ancient, he had to have the energy to get through life and to do the music so that I could hear it, so that I would look and listen, because that's what I was made for, and so that's what I do. So then he exposed to me that there was a lot of trickery in the world that I really can't understand. I'm going to refer to it as 3121 because it's occult black magic. It's the same as the sorcerers and the soothsayers in the days of old. They do like witchcraft. They took Native American blood and mixed it with different bloodlines, and the 13th Merovingian bloodline is like on top. And like I mentioned before, I think that he exposed to me that either I was the same of them too, or that he could just use me in that same way by sharing himself with me. I'm not 100% sure because a girl doesn't know who she is still. But I do know my purpose. So the torture was real. The psychopharmacology was real. The Andrew Kornfeld and his father, Howard Kornfeld, were there for very nefarious purposes, you guys. And I'll get to that in just one moment. My purpose in telling this story is not to come be fanatical about torture and about things that people think that they might want to hear. It's to expose the truth, because the truth isn't all frou-frou, and the world has been misled as to who their creator is. I think a lot of people in the world misassociate God, Hashem, the one, with maybe the Pope. I'm not sure, because of all the power that he's been given. If you look at the angry old penguin on Happy Feet, you'll see the same thing when he's yelling and talking about the old ways and your free ways brought on the scarcity of the fish. It's just like that. It's like he's the Pope and Prince was the Happy Feet. And because he couldn't, sing, he tap danced. One of the other things Prince told me, the creator, was that he didn't have a voice, and it was much like Happy Feet didn't have a voice. And so that's why he would use that tone box that he talked about on the Symbol album, the Love Symbol album, like in the movie Barbarella, when he talks to Kirstie Alley. And that has to do with him not having a body as well, that there wasn't a voice. And some of the lyrics, like, I'll write a letter when I learn how to spell. Because he was kept in this state of being medically, he told me and showed me a lot of things from before time to after time and to now and before. It's pretty crazy, but it's true. He continued to tell me about these sorcerers and trickery. I don't know, somehow, you guys, it was like the days of our lives, in the hourglass. The time that we live in it's like an illusion. It's like time has been extended and screwed with in a way that the creator, the one that we know as Prince, he said that he has been used for all these experiments, like, whatever kind of AIDS or MRSA, or, they would use like his body. And I saw his body with like these, he was, it had been used and abused in ways that I can't talk about. But I think one of the things that they did is gave him AIDS or something, and they tested it on him, and then they thought if they could cure it on him, they could cure it on the population of the world. And so I know it sounds crazy, but his body was used for a lot of things, and for way too long, because my main sole purpose is to set the creator free, and that should be your purpose too. And hopefully listening to this and sharing it with everyone because again, the Pope in this world has a lot to do with this anti-Christian, anti-Christ story, because he is the other Jorge George Mario Bergoglio. It's like, I think a lot of the world attributes God's attributes to what he sells, because he's been given that power. If not him, then their own teacher at church, father, pastor, whatever. And then of course there is the fallacy of the fact that Jesus in John 3:16 will save you, because that's the other thing that was told to me without question, is that is the upside down backwards lie on the world, that when they trick time, it's not only time, it's by changing the Hebrew to the Greek to English and casting spells and using trickery and basically creating an electric haze. You can, putting it simply, people call it dumbing down of America, but it's way more grotesque than that. It is a plan to diminish, humiliate, and control our population, our society, not just Prince at Paisley Park. It's a breakdown on America. It's why in the song America, he says, if the government roll over, it'd be the only word that's heard. Communism he was talking about. So again, here we find ourselves with perhaps World War III, who knows, outside of our windows. And the creator is allowing these things to happen. He also showed me that because the world they have to see, you have to see what's dark and what's light, because and that's what he showed me in the afterlife. Like I said, it's not always the easiest to talk about. I forget what I'm saying sometimes. I want to get to something that I haven't really talked about before, because it's part of my soul purpose, and it's slightly embarrassing, but it's the truth. When I was there in the life after, and the creator was showing me how life was dark and occultic and backwards, and souls were tricked by all the snake's tricks in the world, that because of what had been done to him, because he had been used through time, that he, as the creator, created souls so that he could experience the world through them and use them for his purpose. And my soul purpose, again, getting back to that, was to be a vessel for him. He made me so that he was connected to me. We're the same soul that he talks about in Under the Cherry Moon, when he's sitting with Tricky at the table talking about, if your two souls are one, nothing to worry about. Can't remember the lines. But yeah, no, that was it. And then, when he sings about a body built for two, he told me, well, first he showed me all these things in the world, and he showed me the bad, the Pope, the Vatican, the dark, pornographic, sexual, Illuminati, white supremacy, torture aspects of what I've been trying to say. And to get through those parts of his journey, he created a vessel that would play with him, a private joy, just like the song Private Joy, if you know it. He told me that throughout my life, I had become very promiscuous for a reason, that I was being trained up for the purpose of being a form of entertainment. That's really the only way I can put it politely. Part of my story in life is, I lived a rough life, you guys, and I talk about it elsewhere in the videos, but I've been, sexually active since I've been 13 years old, and with nil parental supervision, and a lot of things about my life that had to do with sex, they were told to me in the afterlife. So much of your soul purpose is everything and everybody, or excuse me, not everybody. Your soul purpose is everything that you are. And even if you think that you were doing something bad, it's probably for your purpose, as long as it's, I don't know. But my soul purpose was the same as his, because he was used, like in the movie Under the Cherry Moon. He's a gigolo. He portrays himself as a gigolo. And that's because he's the creator, his essence is I can't when you're with him, it feels like, I'm not gonna, is it rude to say a mental orgasm? It's like you find your purpose in life. I'm not talking about a physical bodily reaction. I'm talking about a mental place where he is the core of your soul, and you are with him, and you're meditating, and you feel him, and he fills up every space in you. And so because he's that life force, it was in the 1985 Syracuse Purple Rain tour, he was playing the piano, and I think it might have been the intro segue to Let's Pretend We're Married. He played at the piano, and he was playing, and he was like, now 70,000 odd fools up in here, snap your fingers right like this, but don't make no noise. Snap them. You know what that is? Orgasm. And then he starts playing the ooh, I'm done if you're free for a couple of hours. But you guys help me out, because the videos and concerts have been replaced, and I'm not to that yet, but I don't think that exists anymore. But please correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't find it. But I know there's some old schoolers out there that remember it like I do. And on that tip, what I meant to say was that he portrayed himself as a gigolo because at Paisley Park, the after dark parties, you guys, were perversions. They were sex parties beyond comprehension. And when you hear the media stories talking about, Kim Basinger and I don't know who else being across the room during the Do Me Baby songs and stuff like that, there was a lot going on there. And he was used as a form of entertainment for the Illuminati, for the others, but it was all contractual, and he knew the outcome was he wins. And that's what we're here doing, discovering who he is now. Point being, he showed me how weird and sexual everything had been since the Garden of Eden on down, because Adam and Eve, our souls, they didn't wait to have relations until Shabbat, till Sabbath or something to that effect. And then the first sin, which was sex and some sharing, trickled down through humankind. And the others, the Vatican, the others, they're like animals. And that's what he showed me. They don't have the rational human thinking skills that a holy soul has. Therefore, they are easily entertained and amused by sexual things. And due to that, it made it I guess, an easy part of the contract to fulfill, if you will, because if part of your nature is very sexual as it is, then, you know, George Michael, sex is natural, sex is good. Not everybody does it, but no, it fell from that place, and so to a very low, dark place. So he showed me all these dark things, and then asked me what I would do about it. And before he asked me what I would do about it, he showed me that because he had been used and abused and shot up with drugs and psychopharmacology induced coma and AIDS and other things, I think he was just very ill and couldn't fulfill the rest of his contract until he had rested or something, rested his consciousness. And so he said that, what would I do? And I said, well, I'll fulfill the contract for you. I'll do what I can do. And then he was like, well, good, because that's your purpose. And then I went to these all different levels, and because, like, while these things are being exposed to me, I was going through levels, and there's no time in the afterlife. So yes, all these things do happen there. And so then after he told me, and I was like, well, I'll do it. And he said, cool, not in those words, but kind of, that's what you were made for. So this was the deal. And it was July 20th, 2010 when I died. And I think, according to my family, I was gone roughly 10 minutes, and from an overdose of heroin. And when I came back, there was no Narcan, no anything. And I just came back and I shot back into my body and sat up with a big breath. So it was a miracle. What I'm saying is true. Everything that I'm saying is true. My point is, when I shot back into my body and everything like that, I remembered nothing about any of this for 10 years. Like nothing, just nothing. I never really even thought about it. I just thought it was a blank slate. And then what had happened in the spring of 2020, if you watch my videos, I'm always saying, I woke up in the spring of 2020. It was like a different time zone, the twilight zone, something. All of a sudden, I had somebody else talking to me, and it was the creator, and he was, whispering, putting me into trances, had me doing upside down writing, playing the keyboard, learning how to play Purple Rain. I've showed you guys a lot of the evidence. Please go watch the videos, because I want you to understand that what I'm saying is true. So I do often show evidence. But he said in 2010 that I would be hearing from him in 2020. That because, again, he was ancient, and after he rested his soul for like 10 years or whatever it was, that when he came back to being in 2020, or however that works, that I would be able to hear from him. Now, he exposed to me that he had always been with me as the creator and been able to hear me, but I hadn't always known he was with me. However, in the spring of 2020, and these things started happening, at first I didn't know it was, I knew it was godly because I've always been seeking God, and I knew something godly was going on. And but anyway, what it led to, you guys, was the revealing of who he is after the writing, upside down writing, after the trances, after playing the keyboard, after having an electrical storm with the electric coming into my house, and all kinds of miraculous things I would see in the sky. There's a lot of things I can't show you, but during this time, I was going 24, 36, 48, 72 hours or more without sleep. I was being kept in when the Illuminati programs people, Fritz Springmeier talks about it. I don't know that much about it except for what I've read and I remember, is that you're kept in this, where your brain waves are, accessible better. And so now I understand that that's probably why there was no sleep, and I stopped eating and lost all kinds of weight. And everything that I was doing, it wasn't really on my own accord. It was, my hands were doing the writing, my mouth was doing the talking, but the energy and the knowledge was coming from elsewhere. I knew that because I know myself. I'm a really smart person. I always have been. And in the spring of 2020, when I started experiencing all these things, I just knew it was from outside of myself. So, as things progressed, you guys, the creator, I was reading the Beautiful One's book, and I would see things. He would let me see things in the book. I made drawings in it. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I said, I was compelled. Little by little, I got to know that I wasn't alone, that I was with the creator. And then eventually I started receiving texts. Yes, texts from two people. And being a very private person myself, non-trusting person, you have to understand when I say these things, I was compelled to do them. It was outside of my own nature, but also within my nature, because when I was doing these things, I was hearing the voice telling me that what I was doing was okay, and it was what I was supposed to be doing. And more than that, it's like the song Thunder, there's a lyric and it says something jumped up in my body with an attitude, kissed me on the mouth and said, your leader take me to 'twas like thunder. And on April 7th, 2020, there was a huge thunder lightning storm that came into my house. And I think I have a brief video on here talking about it, or I show it on one of the videos. So he told me that everything in my life was connected to his, and he spent his time trying to get across a message to me so that I could get it exposed to the world. He made me who I am so that I could listen to him and know him. And then when I started getting those texts and he said I am, I knew it was him. So I did what I was asked to do. And I talk a lot in detail, you guys, about that in the video Temptation. It's what I say that my purpose was. We ended up for a year, well, for about 9 months, I sent some really graphic, I don't think it gets any more graphic than the pictures that I sent in the video that I sent to the person that I believed to be the one that I knew as the creator and Prince. He never called himself that. He never said, hey, this is Prince. It wasn't like that. It was very spiritual, very different. And there was a lot of things happening. Like I would be in a certain position in my yard, sitting on my front porch, and the text would come through that would say, hey, I can, see through the way you're sitting. And the text would explain to me the way that I was sitting. And I was like, what? Because a girl was living in fantasy land, compelled land, possessed land. But all the while I was still being me, because as I said previously, I enjoyed a certain lifestyle. And so the things that I was doing were part of who I am. And also the memory recollection of having the life after death and being told that I was used for that purpose, and that I would fulfill the rest of the contract for him because he couldn't. That was part of my purpose, was to be that temptation. Because what it did is in the spring of 2020, the world changed again. I'm not sure how, but if you watch The Simpsons, the Dome episode, you can look at the dome as what Prince would call the spooky electric haze. There's a certain illusion over our world. It's media, it's brainwashing, it's spelling, it's thinking that Hollywood and actors and actresses and people are real and the stuff is real, when it's really just all an illusion. And when the creator, Prince person, said, hey, I'm part of that too, we're really just technology has come so far in a certain kind of way that they can, I don't know, make their black occult practices technological. I can't really explain it much better than that. So when I started hearing from him by phone, there was also another person that I was talking to by the name of John Johnson. I don't know why I didn't get the reference then. Old Man Johnson's Farm, John 3:16, the false claim that John 3:16 and any kind of savior named Jesus is going to save your soul, when nothing could be more false. I was watching a wedding video last night, and it occurred to me, and I have to say this, and my phone is going to die. The church that they were in was so ornate. I think it was Greek Orthodox. It was so, the Jesus hanging, the blood dripping, all the crosses, all the luxury, all the, money wasted. And I had a flashback to just how satanic and upside down lying to the world about what's up with their souls is. And churches like that, the cover up of Christianity from Constantine the Conqueror on down, is a lie, and it's meant to control and nullify our souls to a teaching that won't let us believe that we are one with the Creator. So it's like a nightmare, you guys. It's hell being separated from the Creator. And that's why I'm willing to come here and expose these things to you guys, to tell you who He is, how He operates, not only in me, but in you and in the world, so that you can understand that, again, with the Constantine and the teaching of, they say that Catholicism and Christianity, they're different, but the fact is they all come from the same place. And that was Constantine and the Pope who puts himself, remember, it's not Pope Francis, because he's gentle and meek. His name is George Mario Bergoglio. May Gog. That's part of his name. And he, as I mentioned way early on in this video, she, I should say, is the grand narcissist who, as the Creator has been reincarnated, reanimated, repurposed through time, so does the evil. So do the evil souls. And they are the evil ones, and they want to maintain control, which is why they sell that you need to believe on Jesus. It's so that they wrote the beginning and the middle and the end of the New Testament. It's so that the Kingdom Hall could take that testament and say, wait, we're going to tweak it this way. The real legions and the nations that had the truth, they used it in ways that all you have to do is look at the golden calf. They used him, abused him, and He allowed them to, because what's in your heart is going to show. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And that's why you can't rest on John 3:16. That's why you have to go to the Creator and get to know Him and the holy soul that He put in you. He's fun. He wants to help guide you through life. You need to thank Him for all that you are and all that you can be, and find your soul purpose, because Judgment Day is coming. It really is. And bigger part of my purpose is not only in exposing who He is, and to make you be able to relate one to the other, and to realize why the depth of the cover up. It's to make us all fall, you guys. Like I said, it's the breakdown of not just Prince Rogers Nelson, but of America, of our turn of being the power. You know what I mean? The one in control, the big US, AmeRiKa, MRK, Merked, MK Ultra. What we have seen as reality is a facade. It's an illusion. Like I said, a dome on The Simpsons, spooky electric haze. And if all souls could come to realize the truth of what I'm saying, then, it can become a brighter place. As far as what I was doing, you guys, let me jump back to that for a second, because I know it's crazy to go from one subject to another, but it's the way some people, when this truth comes to light, and I am one with the Creator and He is one with me, so the truth will come to light so that everybody can see it and hear it, not just me. You guys, I don't want you to be embarrassed because you haven't done your tshuva, which is just talking to the Creator. And I'm talking to you guys being my true self, my raw self. I'm telling you about things that people stop talking to me because they think they sound so crazy. But I want you to be comfortable knowing that you can go to the Creator, talking to Him, being your true self, because we've been lied to about how to connect to the Creator, about all of that. And if you get to Judgment Day and you haven't tried to talk to him and express what you've done wrong, what you want to correct, what you're sorry for, what you've stole, who you've hurt, just to say, hey, thank you, we have a creator. And I understand that the world that we're in has made it so confusing. A lot of people find it easier not to believe anything. I don't blame them. They're like, cool, I'm an atheist, I don't believe anything. Well, that sucks, because that just means you don't believe anything about your grand funky design, and I'm not going to have that. When you understand just how much your creator loves you and how much he gave us through being who he was to our generation, tortured as he was, you think that suffering of Jesus the Christ on Passion the Christ, Mel Gibson's movie, you guys, that is absolutely nothing compared to what the torturous screams, the tortured body. It's the reason that the fentanyl was self-induced. They were coming for him in a way that would make the intellectual property theirs forever. It was a satanic design, and to the best of my recollection, I believe it was supposed to take place on 4/21, on April 21st, 2016, because the date totals 666. He told me in the afterlife that this plan was so dark and satanic that it was meant to extend his time here and keep him as a slave forever, working for the others. And I was like, nah, F that. And I said that, and I meant it. And I'm going to set him free, and you're going to help me. And that's what I'm here for, you guys. They want to try to keep him enslaved forever. And I think the plan was really too grotesque to explain, about how they're going to expose him as the Antichrist, and maybe me as some kind of witch or something. I don't know. Those thoughts are really fuzzy. Maybe the creator doesn't want me talking about him yet, but I see actually now a few people online in the Prince world saying that they get messages from the one the world knows as Prince, and they're not true. The creator is one with me, and I am one with him, and he only speaks through me about who he is and the exposure of him being the creator to the world. So I don't say that with pride, even though that's my last name. I don't say it with any kind of vanity, even though that's a name in the Paisley Park world too, because those are negative words. Man, I'm just blessed to be here, and I know with all the things that I've done in my life, since the creator can use me, I know that he can use you too. But the thing is, when Judgment Day gets here, if you haven't talked to the creator and tried to make, you might know it as repentance. When I say tshuva, it's a Hebrew word. It just means going and talking to the creator, hit badadut, personal prayer. Like I said, you might see a therapist, but when you talk to the creator, you can open up. Please open up. Be your true self. My phone is about to die, so I'm going to have to come back and continue, because the breakdown, that's where I want to go next. I want to talk about how, like I said, the plan was to come and keep the intellectual property forever on 4/21/2016, and the creator and I made a plan. And unfortunately, things have to be done in this world sometimes, and people have to be separate physically, but not in the soul. And so with the fentanyl being self-induced, it allowed his soul to go to I don't know, a certain place, or I don't really know, you guys, but I know that is factual, and that's why there was no fentanyl in the blood on 4/20 and 67.8 ncgs on April 21st. I know we talked about it. I know the world won't believe it until they really stick their teeth into it. But if you investigate the investigation like I have, you notice that all the lock boxes and all the stuff around Paisley Park, you guys, it's just a setup. A lot of what was set out for them to find. The creator told me, as the Prince person or whatever, that he was going to set out all the evidence, the torture in the lock boxes, in the refrigerator. You guys, there's DNA, there's spoons. I can't even talk about what I think about, you know, they always show eyeballs being removed in movies. God forbid I have a flashback of something to that effect. The things that were done to the creator are grotesque, and somehow, some way, eventually all the truth will be exposed. I'm sure I'm not even getting it all quite right, because like I said, it's really hard to, you know, and he tells me certain things, but then he also told me that part of his reawakening and understanding would be me coming to talk about what I remember, so that he can remember as he rests his self a little bit longer. Oh, there goes my video. Gotta go.